Tell me the pride of being the ways to make her. You must have heard it. Grasp the truth, hold it high. Trust the beats of how you're supposed to use it. You must have heard it. Go. Don't be afraid to look yourself in the eye. Big plus on you, that's my heartbeat in you.
Bedman is a weird character for obvious reasons. His main goal is to set his DejaVu symbols in order to provide him with better setups, combos, pressure, and mix-up options. But like this, he seems way too similar to Venom, but don't get me wrong. These two guys have completely different strategies and approaches during the game, and the main reason is Bedman's mobility. Bedman mobility is composed of various movement options. On the ground, he has a faster walk speed that allows him to close gaps between him and the opponent pretty quickly. In addition, this walk allows him to grab the opponent without having to stop it with faultless defense. When crouching, he also has access to a crawl similar to the one of Faust. His dash, on the other hand, is something completely different from other characters. It's a parry. This parry launches Bedman forward, and if he gets hit, he will teleport behind the opponent. This can be useful against slow normals, but if the parry gets baited with fast normals and YRC, you may run the risk to take a counter hit as retaliation. Similarly, you can use the YRC right after the parry to either stay on the same side, acting like Hammerfall with hyper armor, or just mix up the opponent once you appear from the other side. In the air, Bedman has a unique mechanic called float. By making a double jump, he will start to float on place. Pressing a direction will make him fly towards that direction, and since the float is not counted as a double jump, you can also use this mechanic during a high jump, reaching heights impossible for other characters. Along with his normals, this mechanic alone allows Bedman to keep his pressure going and grants him a good range of mix-ups. In addition to that, it's a key mechanic for his more damaging combos. Speaking of normals, Bedman can count on a good number of those, some of which are particularly devious. Jumping P is a good air-to-air normal and works as a poke. Jumping K hits at a lower angle, but it has bigger range than P and it's your main choice to quickly pressure the opponent from the air. Jumping S covers more range, works as a cross-up and can hit the opponents close to the ground, and when timed correctly, it makes you land safely. On the ground, Far Slash, 2S and 2D are his best pokes from the distance. They can be used in chain on block to space yourself from the opponent, although 2D is unsafe on block if not cancelled into something else. While Far Slash, it's jump cancelable, making the safest normal from the distance. Lastly, 1, 2, and 3H work similarly to Zato's drills. They appear at different distances, increasing in recovery as they travel further in distance. They work as keep away tools, situational anti-air if you know where the opponent is gonna land, and they're used during specific setups on wake up and in most of Bedman's combos. If you miss an opponent, you can always use the YRC to make it safe, and it's also jump cancelable on block. Up close, Bedman has 5P, which is not a normal for ground combo, but rather an anti-air since it hits too high to connect unless it's against specific matchups. 2P, it's a basic short range normal, but it's perfect for tick throw setups and it's the only P normal that can actually touch anyone. 2K is a low, and while it's short, it covers a decent range and it's pretty fast. 5K on the other hand, it's jump cancelable, and you may want to train a little in cancelling 5K in the float to make your pressure even better. Close Slash, it's one of his best normals due to the fact that it works both as a fast close range attack and as an anti-air. To top it off, it's jump cancelable and plays a big role in Bedman's combos. 5H is a kinda good 2-hit normal that has decent range and it's jump cancelable on the second hit. In addition to that, the second hit has a vacuum effect that gets the opponent closer to you for additional pressure, and it's one of his most damaging combo starters and extenders, in combination with 1H. However, on its own it's pretty unsafe on block or width, and the second hit has a shorter range than the first, meaning you won't be able to jump cancel most of the time if the opponent is at distance. But it can still be chained in 2D to space yourself a little, but you're still in danger even with that. If the second hit connects on block, you do have a several way to get out of pressure aside from jumping, and that is with the almost instant hover at jumping D. This jumping normal makes Bedman bounce on the opponent. Due to its effectiveness, it cannot be converted naturally in combos without proper setup or with Red or C. In addition to that, the float timing here is a bit different. When used correctly, this attack allows Bedman to go for 50-50 mix-ups, cross-ups, and additional pressure. Another choice when you're in the air is Jumping Age, which is a multi-hit normal, mostly used at the corner and most importantly at the right height, since it has so little hit stun that you can get grabbed instantly the moment you touch the ground. In any case, timed correctly, you can convert this overhead in a combo. Lastly, we have 6H, and oh boy, this normal is a pain in the ass for many. This normal makes Bedman disappear and reappear a little forward from his original position. Used at the right distance, this normal is a natural cross-up that can be converted in combo with a letter C on confirm, or just more mix-up with Y or C just before the attack connects, including throws. Mind that without meter, it's a dangerous move to throw out, as on its own, it's unsafe on block, but with certain special, it can be rendered safe but only at the right distance, and only against less careful opponents. Speaking of specials, Bedman only has 4 of those, but they become more useful when the DejaVu comes in play. They can be used both on the ground and in the air, but most of them up close are pretty unsafe. Task A is the basic one, a simple projectile but with some interesting properties. For starters, it can be controlled by checking the spike on Bedman's head, and it has a boomerang effect, and deals 2 hits after which it disappears. And mind that as long as it's out, you can launch another Task A or Task D, which we'll talk later. It also disappears in case Bedman gets touched at any moment, even on blocks, so the best strategy is to stay away as long as the projectile is out and put the opponent in between you and Task A itself. Its main use is to start a zoning game and during wake up setups. However, it can easily be beaten by most of the low profile attacks, and by simply jumping over it. With YRC it becomes a good pressure tool, but you still run the risk of getting hit by those low profile moves. Task B is a simple multi-hit attack that launches Bedman forward. Its uses are simple as well. Ram people in it, set a symbol, and get the fuck out of there. Well, kinda. On a base level, it's a combo ender for short combos, even if it OTGs the opponent, making him wake up faster. But its most strategic use is as a movement tool with the YRC, since it launches Bedman pretty fast. His DejaVu, however, it's the main reason why you want to use this special, as it's one of the best moves in his setup game, especially at the corner. But as we said at the start, this move is particularly unsafe without meter, so watch out in throwing it out. Task C, like Task B, it's a close range attack, but unlike the first one, its uses are much different. For starters, it's an overhead that launches the opponent and then slams him to the ground. In addition, when combined with 6H or YRC, it becomes even more effective in terms of mix-up options. Like Task B, it's also unsafe, but can be rendered safe on its own with the air version. When Bedman is at the right height, Task C generates more hits than in damage, becomes safe on block, aside just guard, and unlike the normal version, has better range, and on confirm, it launches the opponent for both small combos and combo extensions in most of his combos. Lastly, the air version can be YRC to fast travel to the ground and try a grab or just catch out an opponent with a normal and keep the pressure going. Task D finally, it's a projectile similar to Task A in the form but not in the effect. It has the same boomerang effect and it disappears if Bedman is hit, but unlike Task A, it's much slower to come out, and on contact with the opponent, it will teleport Bedman where it connects. This move is a key component in Bedman mix-up, as it can also be used for left and right mix-up alongside 6H, extending specific combos, and finally sending traps with its DejaVu form, which brings us to his final special. As you may have noticed, every time Bedman uses one of his special, a symbol is left behind. These are DejaVu symbols, and can reproduce the special connected to that symbol. Like all tasks, those symbols are very fragile and they disappear if the symbols or Bedman get hit or when a certain amount of time passes. But unlike those, they acquire certain specific benefits and nerfs. For starters, all DejaVu specials are fast to summon. In addition to that, tasks C and B can pretty much destroy any projectile coming your way, aside from beam type attacks. Task C in particular, it's not an overhead anymore, but if you use the air boosted version, it keeps the same effect, making it ideal for a keep away game. When using DejaVu, you'll have to follow some specific rules, and to make it simple to understand, I'll call projectile DejaVu, DejaVu A and DejaVu D, while DejaVu B and C will be called physical DejaVu. Same thing for the tasks, okay? Good. With that said, you can't use at the same time two projectile DejaVu. You can't even call a projectile task while one of the projectile DejaVu is out. You can, however, use a projectile DejaVu and a physical DejaVu at the same time. You can use two physical DejaVu. However, you can use a physical DejaVu and a physical task at the same time. Although there are these rules to take into account, most of the time DejaVu are always a better option than the original specials, and those rules never become an annoyance, at the very least most of the time. As many of the more advanced characters, Bedman doesn't have any sort of great defensive option aside from the usual 6p, which is great by the way in this case, and the already mentioned normals like Close Slash and 2H. He does have a reversal though, and his second overdrive is something quite unique. Sinusoidal effect, it's the reversal overdrive, has short range but it's invincible at startup and has advantage on block, which means it's perfect for getting out of pressure. On confirm, it launches the opponent for a small combo that allows to start your Okizeme, and if it's close to the wall, this overdrive causes a wall stick for a combo extension, but scaling will be heavy in longer combos. Hemi Jack on the other hand, oh boy, kinda honestly I never used it, not even once, but merely because it's damn risky, although I understand its uses. Bedman summons a black sheep that will appear after 2-3 seconds, after which it will start to follow the opponent. If he gets caught from the sheep, then maybe it will get stunned. And I say maybe, because multiple times it happened that I'll just knock him down, but no stun at all. Anyway, Hemi Jack is not a safe move to launch in neutral, because it will leave Bedman wide open. Like most of Bedman's projectile, it would disappear if he gets hit, but only on confirm this time, not on block. Hemi itself also has some resistance of its own, so it can take a little bit of punishment before disappearing. If you start on Nocta as an Okizeme, you may have a chance to land it, but you'll have to either force the opponent to block through setup or play an extremely defensive game, because remember, you get touched and Hemi Jack is gone along the tension you used, so be careful when deciding to throw it out. In terms of general strategy, Bedman is easy to figure out. He's a keep away mainly, but like we said at the start, he can switch up to a setup oriented character once he plays enough symbols. At the start of the game, try to place as many symbols as possible, mainly task A to start, or task D if you want to prepare for some kind of mix-up, or just to close the gap between you and your opponent. Once up close, start playing with your opponent with short chains and float cancel to keep your pressure going. 6H, task D and DejaVu D will allow you to make some left-right mix-ups, but don't get caught as they put you very close to the opponent, which can always react with a blitz shield or a just guard at the right time. After a knockdown, make sure to have either task C or B in their DejaVu in order to start your pressure game and cause some chip damage as you go, raising the risk bar and opening them when it's high enough. Wire seeing certain moves like DejaVu C or D are also good ideas as they can lead to some devastating mix-ups, alongside the aforementioned 6H. In the end, Bedman it's all about switching up your style depending on the situation. And lastly, don't throw out task D on Potenki. Just don't! After all of this, it's time for some combos. Strangely enough, while Bedman's playstyle is so weird, his bread and butter combos are actually quite easy to use. They have some adjustment to do depending on the weight of the opponent, but overall they're simple. Those combos are not in the challenge mode, but you can find some basic setups there, so it's always a good idea to play there as well. I forgot to mention something about his throw. Bedman is one of the few characters that can actually combo after his throw, although those combos are restricted to the corner. In addition to that, due to the high number of hits of the throw itself, you'll basically reset the opponent risk meter.